And the interesting part is that until you brought it up to me, I had no idea what it was. I know a lot of clients that did the PPP, the EIDL. Who does this program help?
It helps, number one, it helps any company that has W-2 employees. Why the program was amended was it was supposed to be a reward for retaining employees through the pandemic.
The restrictions were so tight, but now because of the changes in the restrictions, now it's opened it up to a lot more people. That's what it sounds like.
Back then, that was the amendment, is if you had to have a 20% decrease of revenue sales from your 19 quarters to your 21 quarters. But they amended it and they made it, or if you've had a supply chain disruption to your business, you could qualify.
It sounds like with this, it's not restricted to what you can do. It's almost like a reward for retaining employees.
When you hear the word credit, don't think of oh, it's just crediting my taxes for the next 3 or 4 years. No, it's a tax refund check.
Hi, everybody. This is Jose Luis Morales. Welcome back to the Morales Group Show. This is episode number 99. Today, we've got a very special guest. His name is Josh Zieglowsky. He is a co-founder of a company called ERC Specialist. Can't wait to share with you guys what it is. And today, he is going to be sharing with us a government program that is available for business owners with W-2 employees where they help you. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm excited about this program because I love giving back and I love helping people. And this is a good opportunity for business owners that have W-2 employees. So would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the ERC program and what the ERC program is?
Yeah. So I usually start by, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I've been in real estate for 19 years and I've been in commercial real estate specifically for almost 7. So particularly, I purchase a lot of triple net assets like retail, flex industrial, and medical office. That's my background. But during the pandemic, I had a few businesses that were hurting, specifically an oil business, based on the pandemic and then the new presidency. There was things with my oil business that was hurting. And so we were always looking for some sort of government assistance to kind of, ride the wave until things were turning around. During the pandemic, we all know this thing called PPP or EIDL. That was under what they call the CARES Act. And there was another one called ERC. It actually started the exact same time as PPP, but no one could access it. I saw this opportunity because I was looking for government assistance and it was just amended where now you can get both. Before you can only get PPP or ERC. Now you can get both. How I discovered it really was just kind of trying to look for it in my other business. Being that's a government-backed program, it's done through the Treasury Department, whereas PPP and EIDL was through the SBA. I thought, hey, it's through the Treasury Department, AKA the IRS. We think of a tax professional, our CPA. So I reached out to 2-3 CPAs. No luck. I reached out to other payroll companies because this happens to be a payroll credit. No luck. And from there, if you've ever read the book, Who Not How, finding the right who's around you is my mentality now. And so with that, I wanted to get the right team in place that were very hard professionals. And now 8-9 months later, we're, doing almost 300 businesses a day, helping them. Yeah. That's how it really got started, is by business owners for business owners.
And the interesting part is that until you brought it up to me, I had no idea what it was. I know a lot of clients that did the PPP, the EIDL, but nobody's really talking about it. So who does this program help?
It helps, number one, it helps any company that has W-2 employees. Why the program was amended was it was supposed to be a reward for retaining employees through the pandemic. They have restrictions on it, but they've loosened those restrictions because this was a $400 billion program. And by the end of the summer of 21, only about 5% had been used. There's two things there's one thing I'm always trying to get over. This is too good to be true. And I tell people, hey, Google ERC credit right in front of me, right? And you go through the ads, you go to the irs.gov website, call your tax professional about it. They're going to tell you something, and they're going to tell you probably they looked at it, but you didn't qualify. That might be one of the top things. And if I talk to 10 business owners, 8 of them don't know about it. 2 of them have heard about it. And I always tell people, don't get mad at your tax professional or your CPA. This is so hard to understand. And that's why we've gotten the right professionals to dissect it. And we help business owners. CPAs can definitely do this, but not on a larger scale. In other words, they can help a couple of different clients. And I probably have I mean, I talked to a CPA firm yesterday. I probably have 1 or 2 CPAs a week reaching out to me, sending me their business because they're like, hey, I mean, I have 300 clients and I can maybe service 5 or 10 on this. I'm just not to that capacity where I can add another 20 employees to help people about it. With the W-2, you got to have W-2 employees. So that's kind of the first thing. The next thing is you can get up to $26,000 per W-2 employee. Yeah. $26,000 per W-2 employee. If you have 10 employees, you can get up to $260,000. And this is a fully forgiven program the day you receive it. Whereas PPP, you had to prove some things to get it forgiven. If we all remember that.
So it sounds like the reason this is coming up now more, and the reason they opened it up is because nobody was qualifying for it. And maybe CPAs did look into it at the beginning, but the restrictions were so tight. But now, because of the changes in the restrictions, now it's opened it up to a lot more people. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So it's been amended 5 times since March of 21, 5 times. Late as December 2021, it was amended. So I had someone that I was talking to last week. It's like, yeah, I talked to my CPA in the middle of summer and he said I didn't qualify because, I made too much money. Well, technically he's right. Back then, that was the amendment, is if you had to have a 20% decrease of revenue sales from your 19 quarters to your 21 quarters, but they amended it and they made it, or if you've had a supply chain disruption to your business, you could qualify. And they added that because only 5% of the money has been used. This was a past legislation program. They wanted to make sure, companies can go get it. And I mean, what's great is there's some great stories out there. There's a guy we helped getting over $475,000 and he's a pizza joint here locally. I'm in Utah. And he's going to go add 2 more pizza joints. So what did that just do? That just added another 20 to 30 to 40 jobs. That's the point of this program, is to help stimulate the economy. And this is the last stimulus package within the CARES Act available.
It sounds like with some of the other programs, there was restrictions as to what they could do with the money, right? It sounds like with this, it's not restricted to what you can do. It's almost like a reward for retaining employees and to help stimulate the growth of businesses, in other words.
Yeah, that's since the get-go on this program. Like, you can use the money. It's almost like a tax refund check. When you hear the word credit, don't think of like, oh, it's just crediting my taxes for the next 3 or 4 years. No, it's a tax refund check. The reason why they call it a credit and not a grant is just like the PPP. There's going to be stipulations in a grant when you receive a grant that you have to do certain things. And if you don't fulfill those, you have to pay that grant back. This credit, you can use it for whatever you want or need. I always joke that, don't go turn around and go buy the boat, but you could. The main purpose of it is to really stimulate the economy. And that's the reason why it was kind of brought to us business owners to use.
So we're going to go deeper on the program just because I have questions, as well as I'm sure other business owners have questions. But we have a website. It's called erchelpnow.com. If you guys have already heard enough and want to see if you qualify, just go to erchelpnow.com. There's a process that will basically let you know how much, if you qualify. Will it actually let you know as well too how much you qualify for as well too?
Yeah. So let's go over the logistics. That'll take 30 seconds. So if someone goes on the website and they'll go through about 5 or 10 minutes, we never ask for a credit card or money up front. We'll go over what technically the fee is, but they're going to go over about 5 or 10 questions. It's going to be about their business. Have they had a supply chain disruption? How many employees they got? And there's questions that we have to, go through for the program. Mm-hmm. Then once the questions are done, it's going to say, we need these particular documents based on your answers. Majority of the time, we're going to want your 941 quarterly reports, the IRS forms, PPP loan information if you got it. And if you got it, you can still get ERC. So sometimes there's a myth out there like, oh, I got PPP, I can't get this one. No, you can get both now. And then there's a payroll employee report from a certain day to a certain day that we ask, that we have to have for the program. Once we get that, it takes us about 7 or 10 days to sift through all the documents. And then we come back to you and we say, okay, you've been approved for $223,000.42. Do you want us to file? At that point, you can actually say, you know what? No, I don't want you guys to do anything more. And I know how much I can get approved for, whatever. That's going to be totally up to you. I mean, majority of people by that time, they're like, hey, let's get this going, because the bad part of this program is it does take 6 to 8 months to receive the check from the IRS. So, and I can't control that, right? But once they hit the DocuSign, they sign it, that we then file it and we send it off to the IRS. Still haven't asked for any money yet. what is the fee? I know people are like, okay, just tell us what the fee is, right? So what we decided is because it took 6 to 8 months to send the money out, and we wanted to help as many businesses we can, is we take a percentage of the credit. We take 15% of whatever you are approved for. So we're incentivized by you getting money. We don't get paid until you get paid. And that's how we've structured it. So at that whole time until the money actually comes, then we get our 15%.
How long does it take from the time that you apply to know how much you qualify for? It sounds like that's pretty fast, maybe like 30 minutes. Then how long does the application process actually take? We already know that the money part is going to take up to 6 months. What about to actually get approved? How long does that take?
So the first part, maybe 10 minutes to go through the questions. Mm-hmm. Then once you upload, and it's based on how fast you can upload those documents. Once you upload it, we confirm the upload, and then it takes us anywhere between 7 to 14 days. And then from there, we then come back to you and we say, okay, this is how much you're approved for to the penny. Do you want us to file? Once you click that, you DocuSign it. 3 days later, we file it to the IRS, we send it off, and then 6 to 8 months later, we're getting the check.
What are some of the examples of business owners that can apply? I know it's anybody that's a W-2 employee, in other words, right?
Yeah, basically anyone with the W-2 employee, you have less than 500 employees. This is a small business program. If you are a sole proprietor, but maybe you pay yourself W-2, that's kind of the sticky part. So what they say is you can't own more than 51% of the business, but let's say you have a business, it's a plumbing business, and you have 10 employees and yourself, and you're counting yourself as one of those employees. You won't be able to count yourself, but the business still gets the benefit of each one of those employees. And where that number 26,000 comes into place, and let's go over that real quick, is there's 5,000 available for 2020 and 21,000 available for 2021, which is basically $7,000 per employee per quarter. So in 21, you have to have 100 employees or less is the first question. The next question is, were you shut down or amended your business based on the government mandate? And 99% of companies were, shut down. So you get $5,000 per employee. Then they do it by quarter in 2021, right? So the first question is, do you have 500 or less employees? The next question is, did you get 20% less revenue comparing your quarter 19s to your quarter 21s? Or did you have a supply chain disruption to your business? They do that based on per quarter. Then once you answer those questions, we'll give you a range that you've been approved between 100,000 to 400,000, and then once you upload those documents, we come back to you with an exact amount.
So the big part is the or part, right? It says it's either the quarterly earnings or if you've had a supply chain issue, right? In the service industry, real estate agents might think they may not have had a supply chain issue, because sometimes when you think supply chain, you think like of a physical product being late or something being delayed. However, I know that there was many things that changed in our industry as a result of COVID. What would be examples of supply chain issues? And can you clarify a little bit more on that?
They use that slogan, the crap rolls down the hill, right? Just like you said, we think of supply chain, we think of a widget. We think of the widgets that's sitting in Long Beach on the port or Eastern Seaboard, that's waiting to come to us, it's sitting in a container. It's whatever your supply is. In other words, I have two examples. One, I've had an attorney firm say, hey, based on the government shutdowns, courthouses are continue to be shut down, which delays our court cases all the time. That is their supply. Another one, we have a lot of tax companies that send us a lot of their business. And they said 60% of our business was going to trade shows and getting more business. When that got shut down, 60% of their business suffered until they made more money. So they actually made more money in 21, but that doesn't matter. In other words, as a business owner, if someone, punches you or you get to a wall of business and you're like, wow, I got 15 employees, I need to make sure I take care of them. You don't just give up. You're trying to make more money, trying to find other ways so the business can succeed, right? They know that as this program. So that's why they added the supply chain. Well, what did you have to adjust in your business? In other words, one of our consultants, if you go to our website and you click the About Us page, there's a lady named Mary Slauson. She uses this example, I think is kind of perfect and kind of fun, is when I was a kid, I would go to my dentist, for 10, 15 years, same dentist, same magazines in the lobby, right? And I'd pull up a magazine, and one of the games I'd always play is there's a guy on the left and there's a guy on the right, but there's 10 things that are different from the guy on the left, right? The guy on the left is the actual guy. And the guy on the right, he's missing a shoe. His hair is combed the wrong way. She uses the example as, imagine 2019, that picture on the left. It was perfect. what has changed in your business in 2 years. And that's probably due to some sort of supply coming down that crap down the hill that, like I said earlier. And those are 2 examples. So it's not necessarily a widget. It's whatever that supply is. Was something delayed a week or 2? Was, things that you had to adjust.
I know that you said for business owners, if they have like a family member working as a W-2 employee, can you receive the benefit on their behalf, or is there any gray areas?
So it's not the gray area. They're very specific on the actual relative. I always tell people, don't pre-qualify yourself. We've made it very automated that you can go ask those questions without even paying $1, not even swiping a credit card ever. When you go in there, there is a relative question, and there is ones that disqualify and there's ones that are qualified. I tell people it's actually hard in this program to commit fraud. And the reason being is your 941s and your PPP is what has already been filed. Your 941s, you gave that to the government, to IRS in 2020, 2019, and 2021. This program actually expired at the end of Q3 in 21. It's done. What they allowed us to do is we can amend your 941s for 3 years. So when we're amending your 941s, we can't just say, oh yeah, I know they filed 3 employees back in 21, but now they got 30. That's not going to work. So we can't add this gray area. It's black or white. And the easiest thing to do is just don't pre-qualify yourself. Go on there and go through the questions. Maybe you're a 1099 self-proprietor like I've been for years. Maybe you have some friends you can, send our way. We'd love that.
For those of you that are watching, the website once again is erchelpnow.com. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drop the link at the bottom. So how do you guys come up with the $26,000, like up to $26,000? Where does that number come from?
When I was talking about the 2020 and the 2021, there's 5,000 and 21,000. That's what we were going over. So the 21, you have to have 500 or less. So here's an example. Let's say you have 140 W-2 employees. Mm-hmm. Well, that means you won't be able to get the 5,000 for 2020, but you are eligible for 21,000 for 21.
And then is there a minimum wage that you have to pay these employees in order for them to qualify?
Not a minimum wage, but basically you're getting almost like a rebate. Let's say one of your employees, you paid that employee $10,000 that quarter. You're going to be able to get $7,000 on that $10,000 as a rebate, 70% of the wages back. Now, there's times that you get 50%. In other words, let's say you paid that employee $4,000. You're not going to get $7,000 back. You're going to get 50% of that. And we have the whole calculation that we do for you. Literally, we're holding your hand through the whole process.
Basically, don't try to qualify yourself. Just go through the process.
And, if you have a question on uploading the documents, we have a department, you can go to the contact us that they'll schedule a Zoom call with you or a phone call. And we're usually about 3 to 4 days out for that. We can certainly help, in that regard. In addition to, once you upload the documents, we come back to you. If we need additional info, literally we're making it as simple as possible. You can certainly involve your bookkeeper, and a lot of business owners do. They're like, you know what? I just let my bookkeeper do it, or my CPA does it for me. Just tell me what I need and I'll upload it, or I'll pass it along to them and, give them your blessing. We get that all the time. So, whatever we can do to help, don't be, shy on asking for it.
Some people may say, well, I'll just do this myself. Can someone do this themselves? And what would be the benefit of maybe working with your company versus doing it themselves?
Anything's possible, right? I think someone could, but maybe like a 1%. But you definitely want to involve your tax person at the very least. Mm-hmm. And then it's like what I said earlier is they're going to be tapped out. You heard this today and you're like, hey, this sounds great. Let me call my tax guy. Hey, did you hear about this ERC thing? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't qualify. Well, he's saying there's a supply chain. Oh, there is? Oh, well, then I'll do it for you. It's like, why don't you just get a specialist to do it for you than, someone that like, oh yeah, sure. I'll do it now. I couldn't do it before. I don't know. I know that sounds like I'm selling, but I'm confident that we specialize in it. And we have so many tax professionals reaching out to us that we even are getting higher credit than, other CPAs. In other words, remember I was saying where we'll go through the motions with you and we'll come back to you and say how much, this is how much you're approved for to the penny. Let's say that number, let's say it's $123,000.42 and your CPA is coming back. And I think it would take him more than a week or two. He's coming back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah, I got you up for 86,000. Well, then wouldn't it be worth it to, pay us once you get paid. CPA majority of the time is going to have some sort of fee up front. It might be cheaper than 15%. That's what we've kind of came up with over the last little bit. So
I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard one of the reasons why maybe CPAs don't bring it up sometimes is that it requires so much time to actually do it that maybe they don't have the bandwidth to actually do it. And hence the reason why CPAs are recommending you guys to help them with their clients. I think I've got a pretty good understanding. I hope that the business owners have a pretty good understanding. Any final messages to viewers?
once you get this money, it's like, because of PPP, you had to like prove stuff to be forgiven. This is fully forgiven the day you receive it. Some questions that people come up with is like, okay, so how do I get taxed and what amount do I get taxed? You're not taxed on 100,000, you're taxed on 85,000. And there's ways to talk to your CPA and your tax professional about, combating that to make it as low as possible, obviously. Right now like I said, the backlog is 6 to 8 months. The IRS is trying to get it down to 4 by the middle of summer. As far as the program, a lot of people on PPP, $500 billion. Once people understood it, that money went fast and it was gone. This is the same thing, guys and gals, is it's $400 billion. And once it's gone, it's gone. So the longer you take, the chances of you not having the money when it's available is pretty high. I would definitely recommend to go through the process. I've had friends, high school friends, because the biggest thing I always try to get through is this is too good to be true. That's the obstacle I'm always trying to get through. And so I had friends at the very beginning of this that's like, yeah, let's kind of see how this goes. Then they're calling me like, yeah, I was at a networking event and this tax guy was talking about this. And I was like, oh, Josh talked to me about this. I'll give him a shot because I talked to him about it first. 6-8 months later, they're now applying. And they could have been getting their checks by now, So
I think now the cat is getting out of the bag, meaning more people are going to start talking about it, especially with that recent change now. Like, I'm sure there's always people that say, hey, is this a scam?
I would say two things there. I don't actually get the scam thing. I did that the first, but it's like you said, the cat's getting out of the bag. More and more CPAs. I mean, if you call your CPA, he or she's going to know or heard about it, number one. But number two is Google it, ERC credit, and then go to the IRS site. But as far as us as a company, as a scam, I don't get that too often, very rarely. But I would say we don't get paid until you get paid. So we're never asking for money. Once the money comes, that's when we get paid. So, when people have asked me, is there a money back guarantee? Well, until you get the money, we don't get the money. So
yeah,
yes.
So you're basically doing a bunch of free work and you would only engage in it if they would be getting money. So I think that's it, Josh. For all of our viewers, this was episode number 99 of the Morales Group show. We had Josh Zieglowsky. He is with ERC Specialist. Once again, the link is erchelpnow.com. I think the best advice I can give to anybody is just go on that website and see if you qualify. If you do qualify, there's a potential where you could receive some money, and Josh and his entire company can help you. And just an FYI, Josh was highly recommended by one of the people on our mastermind group. So I've enjoyed having you on the show, Josh, and thanks so much.
Thanks again, Jose. Take care, man.